Hello there folks. I thought I'd do a few videos about Tolkien, J.R.R. Tolkien, the writer of the Silmarillion, The Hobbit, Lord of the Rings and a lot of other works. He was a professor at literature and language and spoke a lot of languages, mastered language, and so I chose to study a lot of Tolkien's work early on. I'll just smoke this little pipe here. Long years ago, when I left my homeland in 1990, I only had a few books and things with me on my tours, and constantly spending my time amongst foreign language. Sometimes I missed listening to my own language, and I had some cassettes of recordings from the radio, and there was the Lord of the Rings BBC radio play on there, and I used to enjoy at night after getting home from a busy day, putting on the Lord of the Rings audio cassette and listening and falling to sleep to that. I was never really big fan of books or fantasy or any of that, because it always made me sleepy to read. Years later, as I grew older and learned languages myself and started realizing that there was a lot more depth to Tolkien's work than just a fantasy story. It was whole work that he wanted to do that incorporated all aspects of his life and the wisdoms and the experiences. And I found a lot of my own different experiences and feelings within those books and within his works, and I felt very close to a lot of the concepts, and it guided me through some of my hard times in life, the idea of hope without guarantees, and the story of Frodo taking the ring to Mordor. I think we've all got this feeling of carrying a burden and having a destination and then a return. And so I think everybody can apply elements of Tolkien to their own lives. And so in this first little mini-series, let's say, I'd just like to draw your attention to something that Tolkien wrote in his foreword in the book. I've kind of jotted it down on this piece of paper so I can get it kind of right. Over the years, I've seen sometimes things like Lord of the Rings is an allegory for the New World Order government, or for sure. There's a lot of you can apply it to a lot of things, but Tolkien himself did state very clearly in his book in the foreword that he dislikes allegory, and the book Lord of the Rings is not allegorical or topical. Tolkien really prefers to see the history. The book is like a history, true or feigned, he writes, with its varied applicability to the thought and experience of the reader. So he's explaining that people misunderstand or get confused between applicability and allegory. But one resides in the freedom of the reader, the other in the purpose to domination of the author. So I'll read that again, I'm not very good at reading off paper. People confuse applicability with allegory, but the one resides in the freedom of the reader, the other in the purpose to domination of the author. So I needed to say that as the first edition of this mini-series about my opinions and thoughts and experiences with reading Tolkien. I think a lot of you might find a lot of the little connections and stuff, and it will appear that I'm creating allegories or stuff, but it isn't. It's just me telling you how I apply it. Now I'm totally aware that over the years of reading Tolkien's works that I've always applied it in different ways, and as I've grown to a different age and come to a different understanding, a different enlightenment of the world, I've then seen the book in different ways and realised that, you know, it's like when a parent tells a child a story, the story has a deep moral that the child maybe not understand straight away, but it's captivated in the story, and it will unfold as that child gets older. Or like a skipping rhyme that would be given to young girls with mathematical riddles and routines, so that they remember those skipping rhymes, and then later in the years those skipping rhymes become mathematical formulas or wisdoms or something, you know, something that you can apply to life. There's a lot of things like when we want to read the stars, or to read the seasons, to grow better plants, to become more in touch with nature. We see the patterns in nature, but it takes a long time to see such big patterns, and these big patterns are passed over through the years, through the ages, and we're like standing on the shoulders of giants, as it says the saying, and we stand and we can see more than our predecessors because of what they left behind on wisdoms. But like I say, the danger of creating an allegory and saying this, you know, like let's say the ring in Lord of the Rings is a thing, a particular thing, then you know, it can't be applied to anything else, and if we get it wrong, then we're in great danger. So it's better to say, right, no allegories, it's just history, or it's just a story, and it doesn't matter if it's true or false, it's how we apply that story, that script, to our lives. What does it teach us? What does it reveal? So yeah, I enjoy the story, and I don't like to create allegories, or I don't like to apply it to things that takes away the spirit of the story. So that's something I want to be careful of while doing this mini-series. Is, you know, I want to pay respect and honour to the author himself, J.R.R. Tolkien, and his family. So yeah, I'll leave this video there and say, yeah, just read more intensely, you know, into what's been said, and you'll find the wisdom at different depths. So we'll go into that in the next video, and see you later.